Hey, welcome to the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and we're reading through the Gospel of Mark. And today's reading is from chapter 5. And it says, when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials named Jairus came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded with him earnestly, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please come and lay your hands on her, that she get well and live." He went off with him, and a large crowd followed and pressed upon him. While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. Then he took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him and entered the room where the child was. And he took the child by the hand and said, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, rose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astounded. He gave strict orders that no one should know this and that she should be given something to eat. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, once again, the theme is death and the fear of death, and Jesus says, "Do not be afraid." You know, the first reading in the Mass today is from the Book of Wisdom, and it tells us that God did not create death. You know, we kind of just take it for granted that we die. But the Book of Wisdom and the Book of Genesis really remind us that death entered the world through sin, through the evil one. And it wasn't part of God's original plan. But it's the thing that we fear most. Right? And with good reason. You know? It's outside the plan of God. He intended us to flourish and to live forever. And he put us in paradise. But we threw that away when we gave in to sin. And sin brings about death. And we fear death so much because we don't know how to overcome sin. But Jesus treats death as if it's just sleep when he talks about the little girl. She's just sleeping. And that's because he has power over death to awaken us from death. And that's why we need not be afraid, because we're in the hands of Jesus. And he's the Lord of life and death. Oh, he's the God of the living. All the fears that we have in our lives are all one way or another related to death, to our extinction, to our insignificance, our nothingness. Right? And it's by living in the life that Jesus gave to us and wanted for us that we discover really the meaning of our lives, the purpose of our lives. You know, to be in relationship with God. And so the fears that we have now, if we just put our trust in Jesus, they'll fade away. And even though we still experience death in the body, we know that eternally we'll live forever. So Jesus reminds us, do not be afraid.